Hello, in this video we're going to take a look at some circles. We're going to find the center and radius of the circle that has endpoints of a diameter at the points 1, 7 and 10, 7. So endpoints of a diameter mean that our circle is going to go through the point 1, 7 and the point 10, 7, and those points are perfectly across. The center of that circle is going to be halfway in between those 2 points. So diameter means that that's going to be the diameter of the circle is going to be the distance between those 2 points. It's going to go through those 2 points and the center of the circle. All right, and then we're going to give the standard form of the circle. So in order to give the standard form, we got to find the center and radius. The center, of course, is going to be the point, as I just said, halfway in between those. So that's going to be the midpoint. And remember, the midpoint formula is we are going to add the x values and divide by 2. We're going to average the x values and we're going to average the y values. And so 1 plus 10 is 11 over 2. And then 7 plus 7 is going to be 14 over 2 is 7. So that's going to be our center, and our radius is going to be the distance between those 2 points. So that's going to be the square root, or the distance between the center and one of those points. So if we want to look for we want to use the 11/2. If we use the 2 points in the diameter, remember the diameter is double the radius, so we'd have to divide by 2. But those numbers might be a little bit easier, less intimidating than the fraction. So remember, the radius is going to be 1/2 the distance between those 2 points on the diameter, and our change in x value is going to be 10 minus 1. Our change in y value is 7 minus 7, and so we get 1/2 times 10 minus 1 is 9 squared is 81. 7 minus 7 gives us 0. So we get the square root of 81 times 1/2, which is 9 over 2. So there's our center and our radius. The standard form of a circle is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared, where h and k are the x and y coordinate at the center. So we get x minus 11 halves quantity squared plus y minus 7 quantity squared equals 9/2 quantity squared. And we can go ahead and simplify that right hand side. We cannot simplify without foiling because it wants the standard form. So we want to leave it in this form, but we can go ahead and square that right hand side and write it as 81 over 4. So that would be the standard form of our circle. All right, let's find the standard and the general. So general means we're going to multiply everything out, and we're going to write it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus cy squared plus dy plus e equals 0 is going to be general form. So we're going to expand everything as much as we can. All right, we have a radius of 1 over 8 and a center of 1 over 8, 0. So this is giving us r, and this is giving us our h and our k. So we're going to go ahead and plug into the formula just like we did on the previous one. And so we'll get x minus 1/8 quantity squared plus y minus 0 quantity squared equals 1/8 quantity squared. And so our standard form is going to be x minus 1/8 quantity squared plus y squared equals 1 over 64. So that'll be standard form. And then general form, we'll go ahead and FOIL that out and move everything on one side. So x minus 1/8 quantity squared, we're going to square the first one. Do 2 times the first times the second. So 2 times x is 2x times negative 1/8 is going to be 1/4 x. And then square the last. Negative 1/8 squared is 1/64. Y squared, we don't have anything we've got to FOIL out. and then we get 1 over 64. When we move that to the other side, we get x squared minus 1/4 x plus y squared is equal to 0, and that is going to be our general form. And if we graph that circle, we're going to have a center at the point 1/8, 0, so this will be 1/8 on the x-axis and a radius of 1/8, so it'll go up 1/8 over 1/8 and down 1/8, and so our circle's going to look something like that. Alright, now we have a circle that has the equation of 4 times x minus 4 quantity squared plus 4 times y squared equals 36. We need to find the center and radius of the circle. In order to do that, let's put this in standard form. So we need to, the 4 out front here, we don't need a coefficient, because remember, standard form is going to look like this. We don't have any coefficients out in front of our parentheses, so we are going to divide everything by 4 there to get rid of those 4's that are coefficients that are not part of the squared. When we do that, we'll get x minus 4 quantity squared plus y squared, and then 36 divided by 4 is going to give us 9, and so our center is going to be the opposite sign, so this is a minus 4. The opposite sign is going to be 4. Remember, our form is always x minus h, where h is our x coordinate. And then this one doesn't have anything on our y, and so we're going to have y minus 0. So our center is going to be at the point 4, 0, and our radius is going to be the square root of the constant on the right. So the square root of 9 is 3. So our center and radius are going to be at the point 4, 0 with a radius of 3. And if we graph that, the point 4, 0 is on the x-axis. We're going to have a radius of 3. That means we're going to go up 3, down 3, left 3, and right 3. So our circle is going to go through the point 1, 0, 7, 0, 4, 3, and 4, negative 3. And then now we need to find any intercepts. Well, it looked like, and we used the points to sketch our graph, that it's going to go through the point 1, 0, and 7, 0, and it doesn't look like it's going to cross the y-axis, but we can check that by plugging in 0 for x and 0 for y. So remember, to find x-intercepts, we are always going to let our y value be 0. So if we plug into the equation, we can go back to the original, or we can use our standard form. I'll go ahead and use our standard form. X minus 4 squared plus y squared is going to be 0 equals 9. So that's x minus 4 squared equals 9. That's set up, it's a quadratic equation, set up nice for the square root property. Remember, we do have to put plus or minus on that. The square root of x minus 4 quantity squared is going to be x minus 4. And then plus or minus the square root of 9 is going to be plus or minus 3. So when we add 4 to both sides, we're going to get 4 plus 3, which is 7, and 4 minus 3, which is 1. So that is giving us intercepts at the points 7, 0 and 1, 0. If we want to find our y-intercepts, remember, we are going to let x equal 0 and do the exact same process. So 0 minus 4 squared plus y squared equals 9. 0 minus 4 is negative 4 squared, is going to give us 16, plus y squared equals 9. When we subtract 16 from both sides to get that y by itself, we get a negative 7. Now if we take our square root, we're going to get the square root of negative 7, which is imaginary. So that does confirm that this will not cross the y-axis at all, and the only intercepts that we have are going to be at the point 7, 0, and 1, 0. All right, I'll see you guys next time.